I love my life, and I love my wife, and it's really kind of wonderful to share this experience of our marriage and our relationship. And we do this through the workshops that we teach together, and it's a constant practice. There's so much I learn in my relationship with Gabriele that I then love to share with my friends, with my clients, and at the workshops that I teach. So we thought it would be kind of fun and interesting for us to share with you, kind of honestly and authentically, some of the tools that we've developed in practice and some of the ways that we have really benefited from compassionate communication. What's true for me is I've been in love with this woman for 8 years now, and finally 2 years ago she was willing to consider a romantic relationship, and then about 6 months after that she was willing to consider living together, and then after that she was willing to consider my proposal of marriage, and then we indeed were married in March of 2009. We say we got married because we were married in Maui. And so we'll share with you some of the tools and some of the things that we've learned that we practice in our life and in our daily relationship. What's something that you'd like to share with people that comes to your mind?
Well, I'd like to say that this is for sure the most deep and profound, most loving relationship that I've ever shared with a man or a woman. And since Scott and I have known each other for that long, I have seen him embarking on the path of compassionate communication, and he's done it with so much passion and compassion. You've always had a beautiful heart, and the compassionate communication really helped that heart to blossom and also to be able to share it in a clear, understandable language. So we were able to bring our communication together, and the most important part is deepening the trust between us, and also feeling heard and being able to share some more vulnerable things and feeling safe with that. So we've really established a depth in our relationship that I have never experienced before, and that I'm very grateful for, and I accredit compassionate communication to that quite a bit.
Thank you. I think a piece that comes to my mind that's so important is differences are inevitable. And I think sometimes we grow up thinking, oh, well, I'm going to find the perfect person, and there won't really be differences. But in fact, every day, Gabriele and I experience differences, seeing the world differently, seeing things differently. And even maybe 5 years ago, we might have judged each other, or criticized each other, or had jackal thoughts about those differences. And now it's more like a curiosity. It's more like a, really? You see it that way? Or that's what you experienced? Or that's how you remember it? There's not any kind of an attack or criticism, but more just a curiosity of, wow, this woman that I love, that I live with, that I share my entire life with, can see the world or see parts of the world or experiencing things that we've experienced together so differently. And now it expands my experience of life. It expands my view of the world. And I'm really grateful for that. And it's compassionate communication that's helped us, I think, to not take the differences personally, to not go into that attack or blame or kind of trippy mode, but to just kind of go, wow, that's amazing. You see it that way and I see it this way. Is it like that for you?
Yeah, it's like that. And I'm also understanding that to be in a relationship, an incredible amount of flexibility is very important. And at the same time, to keep the balance, to understand where we're at, and the other one can help us with that, but also have a certain centeredness and a flexibility at the same time. Because it's not about giving in. Compassionate communication is not about giving in. It's about understanding and reflecting back, feeling heard and feeling understood. And therefore it's really important to self-reflect and then to express and to speak and give space at the same time. So there's a lot of different ingredients, and it becomes like a kaleidoscope that we put together in our understanding of the relationship and our love.
Yeah. You know, it's an example that comes to my mind is we have a home together, and it's a really sweet 3-bedroom home. And Suchi is beautiful with creating a home, and so her nickname is Suchi. And so I'm a guy. I mean, I'm not great with creating beauty. So I just agreed, okay, you can design the home. And she likes things to be very neat and very orderly and very tidy. And I'm kind of not that way. So we actually found a balance. My room, I have one room that's my office, and it is an absolutely well-organized mess. And she walks in, and I just see her go, take a deep breath and accept, okay, this is his room. He's allowed to keep it however he likes. And really, it's totally messy, but in my own little well-organized way, every stack and every pile has a certain purpose. It's my own well-organized mess. On the other hand, you go into every other room, our shared bedroom, her office, the kitchen, the dining room. It's all very neat, very tidy, very organized. So she's trained me to keep the rest of the room clean, clear, tidy, and organized, but I get to have my room that's kind of my little crazy Scott way. And I was just thinking about that as kind of the way where we found a way to meet each other's needs.
That's right.
In a very human way.
It's a negotiation and finding out what we need and where we need to take our stand. I had a lot of ideas of transforming his room, and finally had to learn and understand in a compassionate way that this is what he needs. And we can't always change our partner to where we want them to be, but we can negotiate. We can make it work. We can make it fit with the communication that doesn't involve blame or shame or I am right and you are wrong, and that's what we have learned throughout this process. So it's much easier to get to the core of an issue and try to find a solution.
One of the things that's a blessing for me, Gabrielle, is she has a natural consideration of others. My experience of her, and honestly I don't think it's from her study of compassion and communication, I think it's from just her combined life experience, is she very rarely will say something to me that's a challenging subject or that might be difficult to hear without her clearly having thought through how she's going to present it, how she's going to say it. And she inevitably says it compassionately with a lot of consideration for my needs and my feelings. And that in turn inspires me to do the same. And I've noticed that instead of polarizing over things where I keep presenting my point of view and she keeps presenting her point of view, which is what happens with most couples and what I've experienced a lot in my previous relationships, she will quickly say, I'm imagining that the reason you see it this way, or I'm guessing that the reason you want to do it this way is, and she'll really seek to understand my point of view instead of just hammering me with what she wants or the way she thinks it should be. She has a very natural desire to understand me and to reflect her understanding of me, and often to lead with that, which is refreshing and creates trust and really helps me to then want to do the same with you.